Wagwan me people, quick thing before we kick off. The views where you hear upon the Father to Father podcast, them strictly for why, the hosts, guests and contributors. Them now represent Catholic Notebook, Spirit Stream Studios, the Diocese, University, or any affiliated groups. You see me? And remember, this podcast are strictly for adult ears, so listen up with discretion.
Wisdom they share, projects and the purpose everywhere. So tune in, relax, and let your spirit find guidance from the heart and peace of mind. Welcome to Father, where life
Yo, welcome to the Father podcast. My name is Dr. Giovanni, and with me is my main man, my right hand,
Father Greg Lambert.
Hey, and we're back. It's been a good minute, man. It's been a good minute. Yo, listen. This episode, we're going to talk about relationships.
Finally.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. We're in a relationship series. Like this whole next couple of episodes, we're just going to talk about relationships. It's going to be kind of nice, though. And the cool thing is, the stories that we have are all like different, like the Hear Me Out. Mm-hmm. They're all different relationships things, which are nice. And we'll break them down and everything like that. You know what? And before we do anything else, we'll start here. Thank you so much to Catholic Notebook for giving us a platform and allowing us to do what we do best. And without them, we really wouldn't have a studio. We wouldn't have, Abby. We wouldn't have the crew, the research team. The research team is wild. I don't know. The research team is wild. Oh, man. I don't even know how they're getting what they're getting, but they are.
It's somebody's job just to delve into the deepest, darkest crevices of people's minds and lives.
I asked them. I really did. I went in and I asked them. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But, thank you so much to all of you that are behind the scenes that allow us in front to do what we do best. And if you'd like to support us, go to catholicnotebook.org/father2father. That's catholicnotebook.org/F2F. If you want to support us a little bit more and support Catholic Notebook, because without them, we can't keep the lights on and we probably wouldn't have this out here. So,
I'll still have a job though.
I mean, I would too. Come on, I'm a professor. It is what it is. But I mean, this way, we wouldn't have the chance to do this. This has been fun. This has been really fun. Yo, you ready to hop into the first segment?
I guess so. I get nervous because I never really know what's going to come up on this screen, and I can't even really read it either. So I'm just hearing the story verbatim as you're saying it for the first time.
Yeah. So let's go.
I know it sounds clear, I know it's misunderstood. The story's wild, yes, out there, no doubt. But just lean in close, just hear me out. Hear me out. Give me time, let me speak, no doubt. The truth's in my words, the winds will shout. All I'm asking is shit.
All right. Oh, this is the priest one. All right. But hear me out. Did I mess up by staging an intervention?
What, sir?
I'm Father James, the vicar priest at our parish. I'm 38. A few weeks ago, Father Keller, 68, our pastor, and a family from our parish came to me asking for help with a situation involving their daughter, Rachel. Rachel had been estranged from her family for years, but they recently discovered she had been working as a stripper. Half of the parish council, 9 out of the 18 members, both male and female, were regularly paying for Rachel's services. When this came to light, when this came to light, it sent shockwaves to the parish. The family was devastated. Rachel was defensive, and the council members scrambled to save face, some outright denying it while others just staying silent. And somehow I got pulled in to fix all of it. Father Keller asked me to intervene, saying, Father James, you're good at keeping the peace.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. That came from a deep place. Continue.
Just talk to everyone and fix this. I was hesitant. Well, I'm not a trained counselor. I told Father Keller, We need a professional help, maybe even family therapy. His response, we're priests. We don't have therapists back in the day. We didn't have therapists back in the day. We had prayer, theology, and the Holy Spirit. What more do you need? That didn't sit right with me. Prayer and theology are great, but this was way above my pay grade, so I took matters into my own hands. I reached out to a female counselor I knew, someone who specialized in family mediation, and I paid for her services out of my own pocket. I also asked her to sit in as a neutral mediator while I provided spiritual guidance. I didn't tell Father Keller because, well, I knew he wouldn't approve. So I asked the associate pastor, Father Daniel, to help coordinate everything. We brought everyone together, the family, some of the less dodgy members of the parish council, Rachel, and it was tense. Rachel came in ready for a fight. The family was in tears, and I was sweating bullets. But with the counselor's help, we were able to manage through it. Rachel admitted she felt abandoned by her family and angry with the church for the hypocrisy she had seen growing up. Her parents apologized for not being there for her. Rachel agreed to individual counseling. The family committed to ongoing family therapy. To keep everything on track, I agreed to provide spiritual direction for Rachel in collaboration with the counselor. We also decided that the sessions would occur at the counseling center with the counselor present as a neutral third party, which everyone agreed was a sensible arrangement. It was a delicate balance, but it feels like a step in the right direction. Here's the problem. Father Keller found out and was furious. He said, I went behind his back and I should have trusted him to handle the situation in the old school way. He accused me of overstepping my role as a vicar, specifically now that donors and parishioners are praising me as a wise and capable priest. While he argues, which he argues isn't possible since I have been a priest for 3 years compared to his 25 years of experience. To make matters worse, our young associate pastor, Father Daniel, helped me coordinate everything. Father Keller is upset with him too, claiming that his profile is becoming too high. Parishioners and other priests in the diocese who heard about the situation are beginning to see Father Daniel as highly competent. Some have even suggested he should be the pastor instead of Father Keller. Now I'm questioning everything. I know I went against Father Keller's wishes, but I truly believe we needed a professional to help handle the situation. So hear me out. Did I mess up by staging an intervention when it was clearly out of my scope?
Go ahead and give him a recap.
Okay. All right. So this is our first priest that sent us something.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. Father James, who's a vicar. So basically, there's a whole situation. Rachel, a girl at the church, a woman at the church, was a stripper, and she was given services to 9 out of the 18 parish council members, both man and female council members. And Father Keller, the family, and the council members, they all kind of came and they're like, okay, we got to deal with it. Father Keller's like, hey, yo, Father James, you're good at making people peaceful. Why don't you make them peaceful? And he's like, yo, I can't handle this. And he's like, well, handle it. And he's like, this is beyond my scope. Why don't we bring in a professional? He's like, nah, we're priests. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Just use prayer, theology, and the Holy Spirit. And then he's like, yeah, that didn't sit well with me. So he reached out to a female counselor of his that he knew that handled family mediation. And they ended up paying out of pocket for a specific number of sessions for the family. It sounds like. He's like, and I paid for her services out of pocket. I don't know what that meant, if that means he paid for ongoing services or just that day. Mm-hmm. But he also asked her to act as a neutral mediator while he was going to just be the spiritual guidance. And then they had this whole thing with the less dodgy members of the parish council, with Rachel, and they were able to find some type of mutual solution. At the end of it, Father Keller came back and was just pissed at everything. Mm-hmm. He was pissed at him because he said, like, you're not listening to me. You didn't do the things that I want you to do. He was pissed at the associate pastor because the associate pastor helped him because, Father James was like, hey, I can't do this on my own. I'm going to go to the associate pastor and ask the associate pastor for help for coordination purposes and things like that. Mm-hmm. And just to have someone else know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, people are calling you a capable and wise priest, but you can't really be wise because you only have 3 years as a priest, and I have 25 years of experience. And then he's upset that Father Daniel now is being seen as this, next highly capable priest kind of thing. And then he's just saying like, yo, did I mess up? Now he's starting to second guess himself and question everything. Yeah. And so he's sending it to us and being like, yo, did he mess up? Mm-hmm. I have my ruling. I already know where I sit.
I do too.
Like as I'm reading this, I'm like, huh.
Yeah, I know my ruling too.
Yeah. So
that was the fastest conclusion I ever had.
I think this is the first time we're both going to be
on the same page.
You want to do it? 1, 2, 3, 5 stars. Yay! All right. So what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts?
I have lots of thoughts. Okay. 2 things.
Yeah.
1, let me be incredibly clear to you, Father Daniel. I know we changed the names for the protection of everybody. Father Daniel, whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're listening to this. This is priest to priest, man to man. Your pastor failed you. And I want everyone to hear this. Your pastor failed you. You asked for help. You tried to look for a way to go through with it. You said, hey, I'm not capable of this thing. And if I am capable, I don't have the jurisdiction or the expertise on this. I don't think I should be the one doing it. He said, no, you can't find help. You went ahead and you didn't go behind his back in per se. Like, yes, you did something that he didn't know about. And I understand that that's what people kind of say is behind the back. But when someone goes behind your back about something, you don't say, oh, you went behind my back and planned my birthday party. My surprise birthday party.
Right.
They don't say that. Right. They don't say that. When they say you go behind their back, it's as if you're going to stab them in the back and harm them.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You didn't go behind his back in order to, I don't know, usurp him from power. You went ahead and did what you needed to do for the sake of the people, the children, your flock, who you are entrusted to. Right? Who are entrusted to you. Sorry. Yeah. You did the right thing. Now, when it comes to the way that people will view you for it, understand this. And hey, you've been a priest longer than I have, so you can take this as, important or not important. This, that, and the third. The opinions of people will change about you on the daily. You can make a mistake and someone can say, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a young buck. He's just a baby priest. He doesn't know anything. Or you can give one of the best homilies in the world and they say, man, he's incredible. He's going to do great things. Or he really should be our pastor. You're going to have a rumor mill about you, about everything that you do. So don't get too high and don't get too low on what people think about you. But what's important is that you fulfill the mission. You live like Christ. You bring Jesus Christ to other people. Focus on that. What you did was impeccable. What you did was prudent. What you did was smart. What you did was responsible and reasonable. Now, particularly about your pastor, understand this, because the charitable way to say it, because I have to say it charitably or else I'm gonna make a mistake.
Can I say it non-charitably?
I'll get there. The way to say it charitably is this. The older priests of the last generation were formed a certain way. There was a certain way to do that. Back then, you didn't have a whole bunch of buzzwords about anxiety or depression. You just said, just take a shot of Guinness and suck it up. Just suck it up. That's what they did. So that was his reasoning. That's how he tried to go forward with it. I don't have a poo-poo status or understanding of trying to say, oh, the people of the old generation, they all suck. That's not what I'm saying. My issue always lies within whether or not an individual is willing to continue to learn and to change. If they're not continuing to learn and to change, then they're not going to be able to develop. If they're not able to develop while the world develops around them and they say exactly the same, they're going to end up hurting people. And that's a personal thing on me, and that's why I'm starting to get elevated. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you did the right thing. Continue to do the right thing. Congratulations on being a good priest and loving your people correctly.
Yes. 1,000% yes. You know what? Here's what I'm going to say. Father James, good job. You did what you needed to do. I mean, if we had more priests that did what you did.
Oh, yes.
If we had more priests that did what you did, this would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like our Catholic Church would be fundamentally different because you know why? You look at it and you go, I can't do this. I'm just going to go out and reach out, because in every other profession, that's what you have to do. Like I can't prescribe medication. So I have to reach out and have a consult with someone who can prescribe medication. and then connect my client with that person.
Yes.
And then me and that person work together in order for us to best service that client. I don't do spiritual direction, so I send people to you and say, hey, yo, go talk to Father Greg. He'll do spiritual direction with you. Because I don't do that. That's beyond the scope of what I'm able to do. If you want to work on your mental health, we can. If you want to talk about how spirituality interacts with your mental health, we can do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about Ephesians chapter 3, verse 12, and how that worked with the dream you had last night, listen, that's not what we do. Yeah, that's not me. Go talk to Father Greg about that.
I got you.
Right. Common sense doesn't have an age. What's right doesn't have an age. Mm-hmm. If you're saying something that's right, it shouldn't matter if you had 3 years of experience, 2 days of experience, 1 hour of experience, or 25 years of experience. How you got 25 years of experience or 20 years of experience? How long was it? Yeah, 25 years of experience. How you got 25 years of experience? Mm-hmm. 25 years of experience. And someone comes to you and is like, hey, I don't have the proper credentialing to like really make sure that this situation, which is a very difficult situation, you had a stripper performing services, and they said services in quotation marks, so we don't know the full extent of what those services were, to half of your parish council. Half of your parish council, both male and female. It wasn't just like, oh, just the males in the parish council. No, the males and females in your parish council were getting services from this individual.
This was a group event. She had a Groupon.
Right?
Not good.
Not good.
Also, can I just say, the fact that so many people in that parish, and I don't know where this is. I don't know if this is a big town, a small town, is a Midwestern town, is a city town. I don't know.
Right.
But I know Catholic communities like the back of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot tell me that those parish council members did not know who that was and what family that was linked to.
Well, that's the whole reason why they did in the first place is they knew who it was.
If I was the dad, I'm fighting everybody.
Right.
I'm throwing tables and chairs, dog. Tables and chairs in that meeting.
Let me find out. Let me find out.
All of y'all coming to the parking lot one by one.
You're
gonna catch these. You're gonna catch this fade. You're gonna catch this fade and explain to me why you thought that my daughter could be turning tricks for you.
Yeah, and at the same time, you're looking at me in the middle of church talking like, oh, yeah, no, we got chastity.
Exactly. Chastity and prudence, custody of the eyes.
Yeah.
Protect the children.
Protect the children.
Talk about virtues.
And meanwhile, you tell my dog, bounce it from me, bounce it. Like, what? What?
We're fighting.
Nah.
We got to. I'm sorry.
So my thing is, there's nothing else you would have done.
Collection plate coming up short. Sorry. Sorry. What?
Like my whole thing is this. Listen, Father James, there's nothing more you could have done.
No, there's nothing more.
You handled this so brilliantly, so beautifully, even down to you doing spiritual direction and then you saying, I'm not going to meet with you one-on-one. I want there to be a third party there and we're going to meet off-site. Mm-hmm. At the counselor's office.
Yes.
That is even that is done so well, knowing full well that, hey, this is already a tender situation. You don't want to exacerbate it any further. If we're going to do spiritual direction, let's be as transparent and as clean as possible.
Yeah.
This is my issue. I'm sick and tired of old priests. Sometimes. Some of the old priests, not all of them. There's this weird mentality. This is me not being charitable because you were being charitable before. So this is me not being charitable. Right. I'm sick and tired of this mentality. Oh, I got 25 years. I got 30 years. I got 40 years. Oh, yeah, the wisdom of the old priest. Wisdom of the old priest. Wisdom of the old priest. Listen, if wisdom was conferred onto you just because of your age, then a lot of you would have stepped down 10 years earlier and allowed for the guys that were younger than you to be trained so that they can take these positions rather than you keep these positions for years on end, right? If wisdom was so great, how come our parishes are failing? Right? I'm sorry. Do we or do we not have a priest shortage? Do we or do we not have a priest shortage?
That's a good point.
I'm sorry.
That's a good point.
How vibrant are our parishes right now? Because as far as I know, Pew Research year over year keep telling me that we're losing, a third of Catholic men? A third of Catholic women? Kids are walking away from the church at the age of 12. But yet, the wisdom of the old priests is keeping us alive? Right? Yeah, it's the way they used to do it in the day. It's funny to me that you got all the wisdom in the world that you couldn't even stop to realize that the reason why your mentor, who was so beloved and so did all these wonderful things, was so beloved because he sat down and did the things that you don't want to do anymore. He was with people. He listened to people and realized, I can't do this. Let me go find someone who could. I can't do that. Let me go find someone who can, and connected people with other people. And then on top of that, he was focused on the spiritual welfare of people. The amount of priests that I have heard and I've worked with that have sat there and said, like, I don't really care about whether or not these kids actually get confession. I don't really care about whether or not these kids actually know the faith.
Yep.
I just need them to hurry up and get their thing, because eventually they'll come back and they'll get married in the church. I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too.
Wow.
I've heard that too.
For what reason?
A lot.
For what reason? Why would they come back? Explain to me what being Catholic does for you that I can't get anywhere else.
Or the amount of priests that I've met who live their lives looking for the next, well, I call it cookie, right?
Yeah. Oh, listen, my clerics. Oh, wearing my clerics is bad for my spirituality. Praying my breviary is bad for my spirituality.
But when it comes to it, being the person who is not just the minister, but the center of attention, that is like the pat on the head. That's the cookie. That's I'm the pastor, so I need to be the person to do all the things. But yet this individual looked at you, Daniel, looked at you and said...
It's James.
Sorry, James. Looked at you, James, and said, you're going to keep in the peace. Wait a minute. You're the pastor.
You got 25 years of experience?
You're the one with the wisdom.
Yeah.
You're the one who's going to be right.
Yeah.
Why is it that he needs to walk into this dumpster fire of a situation? And it is a dumpster fire of a situation.
The pastor wiped his hands clean and then got upset when everybody else looked at the situation and said,
you handled that so good.
The associate, Daniel, you did a good job because you helped your vicar who wisely figured out what to do. So you make a good CEO. We should really move you up. Also, vicar, why are we keeping you as a vicar?
Exactly.
You're doing such a great job moving and dealing with people. Why don't we move you? Also, Father God, what were you doing?
Yeah, like where were you legit? Where were you in the situation? Because if you weren't at the meeting and you weren't in council and you weren't giving him some of your wisdom and you weren't directing any of this stuff, what were you actually doing? Because I struggle to say that there was something that was more important that was going on than this situation. This had to do with your members of your pastoral council in scandal, my guy.
Yeah.
If the rest of the parish finds out about this, that's a huge issue.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe he was at nursing homes visiting people because, it's more important to get out there to the nursing homes than it is to actually know what's going on at your local schools or even know what's going on with your vicar. Because if I tell you to do this, if I tell you, hey, don't worry about it, you got the Holy Spirit on your side and you got theology, that's all you need, then that should be all you need. But when someone asks you a difficult question that doesn't directly get answered by the theology or the Holy Spirit that you're not tangibly hearing in that moment, what happens there? You're going to be like, listen, I don't know. I was not prepared for you to ask me that question. Let me write that down. Let me go ask the pastor what he thinks, and hopefully that's going to be well. Great. You've lost the situation and that's exploded. But you know what? I can go on and on about this.
Yeah.
We both love the church. I'm just sick and tired of situations like this where you have two young priests that are doing good. But then you got an old priest that are holding on to like this weird image of what authority is supposed to look like and holding them back. But you know what? That's us. I think this is the first time we've ever given a 5-star both across. So you know what? I'm going to play a button that just goes 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Yo! Hey.
Oh my goodness. I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, we should. We should talk about clericalism and all that stuff.
Oh, I'd love to.
Because that's what this is. Yeah. But you know what? That's it for us. Hey, what do you think? What are your thoughts? We're a little bit heated. We're going to cool down for a bit.
Yeah.
To get some water, walk around for a bit. Let us know what you think. Yo, let's hear me out.
Yo, Father Greg, Dr. G, what's good? I know it sounds weird, I know it's misunderstood. The story's wild, yes, out there, no doubt. But just lean in close, just hear me out. Hear me, hear me, hear me out. Give me time, let me speak, no doubt. The truth's in my words, the real's will shout. All I'm asking is hear me out.
Hey, tell me, baby, what's the word on the street? Is it love or is it lies beneath our feet? I'm holding on, but the world feels incomplete.
the Street. Kevin Noble Research Team. They did their 1-2 thing. They brought us some Word on the Street. Last time we did a couple of things. So I figured we end the show this way. All right. So here's the Word on the Street. Ready? Most churches are so focused on making Jesus the perfect husband for their parishioners, they forget babies aren't immaculately conceived. The explanation of this is church often pushes the idea of spiritual relationship with Christ while sidestepping the discussions about real life relationships, marriages, and healthy family dynamics. Open and honest discussions about human relationships and sexuality rooted in faith would address real world issues instead of over spiritualizing them. Balance the divine with the human. So like the hot take is like most churches are focused on making Jesus the perfect husband for their parishioners, that they forget babies aren't immaculately conceived. Now, that's the whole thing. So what do you think about that take? Do you agree? 100% agree, 100% disagree? Or do you 50-50 it and say like, yeah, I don't condone, but I understand. I don't condone, I understand. That's where I'm sitting.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well. Okay, and it's very close to being 100% agree. It's just some of the language and how this individual asked it that caused me to pause.
Yeah.
To say that the church doesn't, as in at all, address the importance of the family, that a lot of this is going to have to do with the preaching.
It says it sidesteps discussions about real life relationships. It doesn't say like it doesn't address it. It just says it sidesteps discussions.
But when he says the church, are we talking about during mass, during the homily, or are we talking about
I don't
ministries?
I don't know.
Because if we're talking about ministries, that's a bigger issue. Like it's a church community, and depending on what the church community is and what community you belong to, you can have a mom's club, you can have scripture and tea, you can have young adult ministry, you can have like a real community that you can find yourself around, that you can talk about these things.
I don't know if that's true.
I mean, you can. It does not guarantee that everybody around you will be able to or will be willing to have that conversation with, but that doesn't mean that everyone in the room needs to be the person you have that conversation with. It can be one family.
Can I tell you a story?
It sounds like it's about to be a trauma. What?
Why everything gotta be trauma with you? Trauma. I just gotta tell you a story.
Okay.
I'll tell you a story. Listen. So this goes back to like when I first came up to Iowa.
Trauma.
Right? There's no trauma. This is when I first came up to Iowa, and I wanted to be heavily involved in the parish because, like, we lived back in Florida, I was like, "Yo, heavily involved in the parish, did a whole bunch of stuff, diocesan level, parish level, all that stuff, right?" Yeah. So I'm like, "Oh, I want to do that here." Mm-hmm. Didn't know what to do, didn't know whatever. So I'm like, "Well, I'm going to join a book club." Okay. Parish is putting on a book club. I got the book. I said, "Huh?"
I remember this. Sorry, continue.
Parish put on a book club. I said, "Hey, I'm going to join this book club." Fine. I did. Went to the book club. I didn't say anything because I was like, listen, I understand that some people might not be in a position to whatever. The person running the book club was very timid. Like, she didn't want to say anything, and she was running the book club, and she asked the question. And the question that she asked based on the book, which is basically, hey, how do you experience your relationship? Like, how do you experience your relationship? And within the book, at the time it was like a dynamic habit book. It's like, yeah, within the book, how do you see some of the major concepts in the book playing out in your relationship? Now, mind you, keep this in mind. I want to paint this picture for you. It was me. I was the only guy in the room. Okay. And there was like 23 women in this room. So it's just me and 23 women. And I'm sitting there in my suit, legs crossed, leaning back, not saying anything.
You stuck out like a sore thumb.
I'm not saying anything. Women are going around saying this stuff. They, this, that, and the third. Da, da, da. It's like, I see, like, the love and compassion of this, the love and compassion of that. And it's like, oh yeah, sometimes I wish my husband would be more like Jesus because X, Y, and Z, or this, that, and the third. Da, 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 da. Right? I had not said anything. Mm-hmm. Then a question was asked directly to me. Okay? Asked directly to me. Gio, how do you see it play out from a male's perspective in relationships? Now, mind you, I'm a mental health counselor. I do couples counseling. I do group therapy. I do couples group therapy. So this isn't something that's foreign to me.
I mean, all your experiences in the past.
So I said, okay, fine. I said, well, you know, that's a hard question to answer because I can't speak for everyone. But what I've seen in trends and what I'm seeing in the research suggests that there's an isolating effect going on. That women are living in their own worlds, men are living in their own worlds, and they're just colliding with each other every so often. And unless we do something drastic, this is going to be the case. And after hearing a lot of you, I'm starting to think that a lot of you don't really talk to your husbands. So let me ask you, and I'm going to pose this to the group, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to pose this to the group. When was the last time your husband expressed that he was happy?
Finish him.
That's it. That's all I said. I was like, when was the last time your husband expressed that he was happy?
All you said?
That's all I said.
You caused a marital rift that has still not been recovered from. This is the marital rift of 2016.
I said, when was the last time your husband expressed that he was happy? One woman said, the last time he expressed he was happy is when he was fixing a car with our son, and the son did the oil change by himself. And he's like, I'm so happy that you got this. And he came in and he was really thrilled to tell me that the son did the oil change. And I was like, oh, great. And then how did you celebrate that with him? I didn't. I'm like, oh, what happened? And she said, in a great moment of reflection, she's like, I shut him down. I said, you're spending all that time out there with that stupid car, and you haven't even bothered to check on me all day. And then after that, he just stopped talking to me.
Dang.
He hasn't really been mean to me, but he has stopped talking to me.
Yeah, because at that moment, he just realized you don't actually care about the things that make me happy, so I'm just going to stop talking about it to you.
And I'm like, yeah.
Dang.
He's like, he didn't stop loving you.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, because he still was there being a husband. He was there being a father, doing the stuff, but he never shared anything with me anymore. Then another woman had a different story. Another woman had a different story, and they were all talking about it. And I'm like, okay, well, you're all telling the story. Now, mind you, you're not here to make your husbands happy. That's not what I'm saying, right? You're not here to make your husbands happy. But at the same time, when was the last time you shared anything with your husband? And then and then it started to be that. And then at that point, I just disregarded the person leading the group. And I just kind of took over the group.
There's your problem. There's what your problem was.
She just completely, she was just like, okay.
But it was her turn.
She was like, okay. She's like, she wasn't saying anything. She wasn't doing anything. She was just kind of like, So I was just like, okay, cool. And then that was it. And we had a great discussion. And these ladies had a great discussion.
You had a great discussion.
I didn't really talk that much. I was just moving the discussion along. It was great. It was wonderful. I got to watch as these like 20 so odd women like really start to like pull themselves out and start to talk about these things that they've been holding on to. And they were having like a wonderful discussion.
I agree.
They did.
But...
And then the next week we were snowed out, and so no one was there. And then the following week, there was a notice in the bulletin that said that the book club is now officially women only.
But everybody had a good time, right? No, there was somebody in the back like, I came to book club to escape my problems. I don't want to talk about my husband no more. He's the only guy that should be women only.
It's like, yo, that was the thing. It's like, yeah, women only. So when people talk about like, oh yeah, we want to talk about the problems, like, I don't think they do. Like, you don't want to talk about your problems. You really don't want to talk about your problems. That's the thing. But I will say this though, like it was 3 months later, a guy I never met before, hadn't seen him. I hadn't seen him since then. Really, I think I ran into him once. If I'm thinking about it, he came up to me months later. Like this was like right around March-ish. Like the snow was melting and everything. And he's like, hey, are you Giovanni? And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, yeah, so you were in the book club with my wife that one night before the snow? And I was like, I don't, that's a weird way to approach this. I'm like, yeah. He's like, hey, I don't know what you told her, but thanks. She's less bitchy. I don't know what happened that day, but she came home and she was crying and she said sorry. That was the first time I heard sorry in like 10 years.
Ooh.
And after that, she's been less bitchy. So thanks, man.
That's the spirit working.
I was like, that's not me. She made a choice. So like, I mean, go home, hug your wife, I guess. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
Let it rain.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. I really think like, even with this hot take, it's not that bad of a hot take.
No, it's not. It's really not.
It's really not. There is a lot of sidestepping of discussions, though. Like there's a lot of, and so like the greater point to this is just kind of like there's a lot of sidestepping of discussions, and because there's a sidestepping of discussions, you do have this like, hey, we'll just say Jesus did it and then call it a day.
Well, a lot of it's fear. It's fear of if I say something that people won't like, will I get attacked for it? Will I get, I don't know, will I lose parishioners for it? Will I come across as insensitive? How do I say this? And you don't need to be the most eloquent speaker to do it. You need to know Jesus Christ, though.
Yeah.
You need to know Jesus Christ before you start speaking on serious topics.
I will say this. We had a priest, and I love this guy. I love him. Not the best speaker. Not the best. But I do love him because you could tell he wants to have the difficult discussions.
Yes.
He just doesn't know how to have it. So he gets up for the homily, and it's January, Right to Life month, talking about the importance of right to life not being limited to just babies and being all forms of people, and how we have to like really reflect on, you know, hey, what does life actually mean to us? What does death actually mean to us? That's what he was trying to do. But don't make me laugh. He gets up there. Listen, everyone in this room is going to die. Hey, little kid in the front, your parents are going to die. Why, sir? Little girl, your mom's gonna die too. And he's like, oh my gosh. And she's like, the little girl just like looks up at him. And I'm like, oh. He's like, and we think that's sad, right? And then the little girl's like, yeah. And she goes to her mom like, you're gonna die. And she's like, it's sad. But how sad would it be if we stand in front of God and we go, I did nothing with the life you gave me. I was just standing here in the middle of a cornfield, just going, Jesus, here I am doing nothing. I went to church, but I did nothing. I didn't pray. I just did nothing. I came to the confession, but did I tell the truth? Nope. I lied to the pastor. I lied to the priest. Oh, he's not the pastor. I can lie to him.
Right now, I am biting into the world's biggest corn dog, and I'm looking for the hot dog, bro. I'm looking for what the substance is. It's just bread. It's just pancake right now.
And then he goes on and on and on, and then he switches to song lyrics.
What would you do if your son was at home?
No, he doesn't do that. He's like, imagine all the people. Just imagine all the people.
Ain't no way.
No, really.
Ain't no way,
like,
dog.
Imagine all the people. Just imagine all the people searching for tomorrow. You know why they're searching for tomorrow? Because they didn't have today. You know why they didn't have today? Because they didn't decide to pray. And you know why they didn't decide to pray? Is because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, God's watching you. No matter how much you think, hey, I love Jesus, you can always love him more. You can always do more. You know what? I'm not perfect. Look at me. You think 10 years? This is what he said. This is what got me. So, look at me. You think 10 years of training really made me into a good priest? No, not at all. I can't even speak well.
Yet here we are.
But it's like, but look at me. God is using me right now just to tell you, if you think it's okay to kill your baby, if you think it's okay to kill your baby, look at your grandma and say, I don't want you in my life. That's the same thing you're doing. All life is the same. And that was his homily.
That was a roller coaster. That was a roller. Wow.
That was his homily, dog.
Wow.
I mean, there was a lot more than that, but those are the parts that like stuck out to me. I was like, yo. But yeah, he really wanted to have these conversations, but he couldn't.
Maybe it's not ordained for everyone to have those conversations. It's okay. Just love the children. That's it.
Yeah, what's your final thoughts, man?
My final thoughts on this?
Yeah, just like on the whole idea of like having these major conversations and stuff like that. What's your final thoughts on that?
I think the major conversations need to be had.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have them, someone else will have them with that individual.
Right.
And we can't control who that's going to be.
Yeah, and I think the Catholic Church is very much in position to like have those conversations.
We already have there are so many documents and letters written by saints that exist that talk about these issues.
Right.
Like it's super easy to just bring them up.
Maybe you can ask this. Why don't we talk about sex? Like, why do we like?
That's not where I thought we were going.
Where did you think I was going?
Because we were talking about like I thought you were gonna say, well, why don't we bring up the papal documents at mass?
No, like I know why we don't do that. People don't read.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like dog.
Fair enough. I don't read all that much either. I just read the things that like are directly pertaining for what's going to be I'm going to be facing the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like at the end of the day, it's like, why don't we talk about sex? Like we get so squeamish to talk about sex, but everyone likes it. Everyone wants to do it. Like it's a ridiculous thing. Like talk about sex.
I think there's a place to talk about it. I'm not entirely sure that talking about sex from the pulpit is the place to do it unless we are directly talking about Right to Life Month or something like that, or reproduction, things of that nature.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like NFP. Like even when you go to do like an NFP like training thing, they don't even talk about sex. They treat sex like it's just like let's not talk about it.
Well, I feel like when I talk about, I had to talk about NFP when I was training, doing marriage prep, right?
Right.
So I had to give them like an introductory, like what is NFP? Why do we use it? Why does the church support it? This, that, and the third.
Right.
And you're coming to get married, and then you guys are going to try and have kids. And you guys have already said in this Form 1 that you are actively trying to have kids, or unless you're going to let those kids come if they come and God has blessed you with those kids.
Right.
I think it's just understood that you're having sex.
But that's the thing, though. Like, because there's a lot of things that are misunderstood that are just assumed. Like, for example, you're not like the Catholic Church says you're not supposed to use condoms. Yeah. There's a lot of Catholics that believe like, hey, yeah, you're supposed to use you're allowed to use condoms as long as you're married.
That's true. I have heard that.
So I mean, like, but if you're not talking about sex, and you like in the NFP talk for yourself, right? If you're like, hey, if you're not talking about sex, then like, how can you actually talk about like that or dispel that myth if that's something that you're going to approach and things like that? Or even if you're utilizing some of the research, like, so for NFP, a lot of the research doesn't make a distinction between individuals that were using condoms while testing. Like, so for the 2008 STM method, a lot of that fundamental research that gets utilized all over for NFP, they didn't make a distinguish, and a lot of the like success were with people who utilized condoms during the period where they weren't supposed to have sex, and they're like, yeah, we didn't get pregnant. It's like, well, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And so it's like, are you going to bring that up? Are you going to talk about that as being like a fundamental issue? I mean, like, yeah, this is a thing. Are you also going to talk about the fact that in every NFP research, like, hey, they had a gynecologist, they had a nutritionist, they had a medical doctor, they had all of these specialists that were with them every step of the way, making sure that her interpretation was 100% spot on. Like, are you going to say that as well? Like, these are just basic things that I'm like, I find out because of research. You know this because it's the life you're living and you have to research it and things like that. Yeah. There's other people that do it. And I just hate the fact that you'll have, and I don't mean this as, I want this to be taken the way that I'm saying it. Okay. Because Catholic militant has become like that, like slur of like, oh, you don't want to be a Catholic militant person. But in reality, it's like Catholic militant talks a lot about those topics, right? Now he used to be very like, you know, right when it comes to like his political ideology, and very aggressive with like, it's this and nothing else, like that type of thing. So there really wasn't a lot of charity in a lot of the things that he was saying. However, the fact that he was actually talking about it gave people like some room to be like, hey, and you're starting to see a lot more Catholic creators like ourselves and some of them online and things like that are talking about some of these topics that for the longest time have just been taboo.
That's true. I mean, we just had a segment where a priest gave us an email about something that was very, very sensitive that he was dealing with.
Right.
And he felt comfortable and open enough to share it with us and ask us like, hey, what do we think about this?
Yeah. It's like, am I losing my mind here? Because I'm being told one thing by this older priest who's my pastor.
Yeah.
But the way that I'm seeing it, the way I'm interpreting it, I think I did the right thing. So what do you guys think? But I don't think that would have happened like years ago.
Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not. No, there's no way.
So, you know, final thoughts, like, how do we encourage, and I'll give you runway for this and I'll have you close out. Like, how is it that we as a church community or priests out there or church leaders can really position themselves to foster an environment to allow people to really start asking genuine questions? Because I know you've mentioned this before where you're in situations where you're just real with people and they give you real responses back. And so it's like, how can you, as a church leader, a priest, a mentor in the church community, the Catholic community, like create that environment in a respectful, healthy, spiritual way that allows for that proper communication?
It's a beautiful question, really. I think it starts in the very beginning of your question, the word community. It has to be community. Nobody is trying to walk into a cold church where nobody feels as if they really actually belong, or they're just there for the Sunday service or the Saturday night service and talk about sex. That's not happening.
Right.
It's a taboo thing. Not because everyone's having it. It's a taboo thing because there is a part of us that still says that this is a sacred practice. And there's also a culture in society that says that it's not. And so that means all that mixing together, it makes it uncomfortable to speak about out loud, because when you say it out loud exactly what you believe in, it's either you feel like you belong in that church or you don't. And so that also means that we have to be able to foster our community to trust each other and to be grounded and rooted in the gospel.
Okay.
Let's start from what exactly is in Scripture, and then let's move on from there. Well, this isn't a time to go ahead and tell everybody, yeah, I don't actually trust you, or you know what, you're living in sin. This isn't a time to point fingers. If that stuff comes out, hey, confessions on Thursday. I'm available. Hey. I'm always available. Hey, but this is supposed to be a conversation. If this is supposed to be your home, if this church is your home, then come to your home, lay your head down, and let it be at the feet of Jesus. Let's have the conversation. I'm not scared. Why are you?
Right.
I always keep it open.
Right. So step one, let home be home. And let's have that conversation. We'll pause there. We'll leave it there. Because I think that first step is going to take people a while.
Oh, yes.
To let them realize and be like, yo, let's put the swords down. Because when you get home, you got to chill. You let your feet out. You're like, hey, yo, let's talk about it.
This is home.
And just like Father's home for many, 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 many listeners, thank you so much for listening to us. And that's the end of our show today. And for myself and Father Greg, we love you. You're very special.
Go forth and bear great fruit.
Catch you next time.
Peace.
Welcome to Father, where life and faith meet.
Father to Father is a production of Spirit Stream Studios. All rights reserved.